Yo, you already know who it is. I'm on asharenu. We back in here. Shouts out to everybody already in the room. We not waiting for nobody. We gonna get it in. We gonna keep it pushing. So I'm gonna give everybody a shout out once I'm done with the message. So definitely stay in tune. Now, of course, I'm thinking about how to start this because there's so many different layers. But let me tell you what the video is not, so people don't assume, where I'm going with this. This will not be a 9/11 conspiracy video, as that has already been done. The research has been done for like the past almost 20 years, right? Ever since it happened. So we should already at least have a foundation of what occurred. But what I will talk about is the events occurring around that particular event. So without going into the conspiracies, let's take a look not only at the numerology, but also the correspondences. So let me get started. And it's definitely, I don't want to drag this out. I just want to make the point, and we're going to get on. If you've been following me recently, I've been talking a lot about the number 9. I've also been talking a lot about the 21st century. I'm doing my best to incorporate history into, these metaphysical and these occult concepts, so we can have a grounded foundation of where it came from and also where it's going. The 21st century started not in the year 2000, but in the year 2001. So the 21st century started in the year 2001. And that is when the Twin Towers, attack occurred in 2001 in the 21st century. So the energy this caused was a holy war tension. In other words, Christianity versus Islam, the East versus the West. So right on the cusp of the 21st century, the energy that was brought into this world was the energy of war, a holy war, right? And as I said, we can speculate about who's behind the attack. There's many different opinions, so we're not even going to entertain it, but nonetheless, it happened. That's what we do know for a fact. It did happen. Now, entering the 21st century with a terrorist attack, as it was deemed, this created a lot of tension that was not there in the 20th century. In the 20th century, you saw a lot of people coming together, right? You saw unity, more unity than ever seen in the 1900s, especially after, the 50s and segregation in the 60s. The 50s going onward, you start to see more and more people and communities start to interact. Things became a lot more universal. People were coming from all over the world into America, setting up shop, doing what they do, starting businesses, whatever. All right? So the fact that we actually had a holy war on the cusp of the 21st century, and remember, so we're going to be in the 21st century for the next 100 years. Well, not for the next 100 years, the next 80 years now, because we're approaching 2020. But in our lifetime, we will be alive in the 21st century. So this is the energy that we will have to deal with in our lifetime, the tension of this holy war. And these are the true seeds of, we see how people hate on the president now. The seeds was planted in the year 2001. Things changed after that. That was the initiation into the 21st century. Remember, 2 + 1, number 3, the energy of Jupiter. But nonetheless, I'm just kind of painting a picture because we're definitely going to focus more so on the 9 and the 11. But I'm just giving you a picture of what's going on from not only a historical standpoint, but also energy-wise. So then the question is posed, was a portal open? Or actually, let me talk about currently, around this time. In current times, we know that Aretha Franklin has passed recently. R.I.P. to the Queen of Soul, who was from Detroit, my hometown. So it's another reason why I decided to make this video. You know, it's a lot been going on. Then another, you know, Detroit artist by the name of Eminem. You know, he's been, I think he just released a diss track and all this stuff. Or not a diss track, an album. He released a surprise album recently. And, you know, people, you know, I guess he was shouting out names. I haven't heard the album personally yet, but I heard, you know, he was going at a lot of people. So this Detroit energy, his, you know, this portal has been opened up. What's really going on? Also, another golden nugget, Jay-Z's album, The Blueprint, was also released on the same day, September 11th, 2001. The Blueprint. The blueprint for what? The 21st century. The 21st century is the energy of what? The energy of war. Because the 21st century was brought in, we literally was going to war. It was the Western Hemisphere versus the Middle East, right? Christianity versus Islam. A holy war is what initiated us into the 21st century and the energy we have to deal with, right? So now that we understand this, we can throw some current events in here, as I was just speaking about. You know, it's been a lot of controversy, you know, around Aretha Franklin's funeral. In particular, the fact that Louis Farrakhan, you know, was present, and I believe he gave a speech as well. Now, for those who may not know, Louis Farrakhan is deemed the Black Hitler by the Jewish community. Not saying that every Jewish person thinks this, but a vast majority of them, because they deem him as anti-Semitic, you know, because he preaches the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who propelled the Nation of Islam forward. But that was started by Master Farad Muhammad back in the 1930s, 1930 to be exact, and also Detroit, Michigan. So in Detroit, Michigan, the Nation of Islam was founded back in the 30s, and back in those times, the Nation of Islam was deemed a voodoo cult. This is all documented. The Nation of Islam was deemed a voodoo cult. You see, this Detroit energy is, you know, it's a lot of connections here. Now, because he's deemed the Black Hitler, now this brings us into the actual Hitler, and this brings us back to World War II, which I'm actually still currently doing this research, so I'm not going to actually go too deep into this aspect. I'm just painting a picture of what's going on then and what's going on now, and, you know, the portals and everything. So I'll just say this much. Because we understand that there's a connection between Hitler and Germany and NASA, specifically in JPL in California. And that has a connection with Aleister Crowley, right? Who is deemed the wickedest man, or the beast, the wickedest man on earth, the beast, you know, all these titles. So Hitler is linked with Aleister Crowley is linked with World War II, which is linked with, you know, the mythology of the Aryan race, UFOs, because all this was going on in the 40s, UFO talk about an Aryan race. You know, it's all these things that are sci-fi, that are deemed sci-fi, started back then with all these happenings, you know. And again, there's a connection with the Nation of Islam, because after the government confiscated Elijah Muhammad's briefcase back in the 40s, they started talking about UFO. Remember, Elijah Muhammad was talking about the mothership, the coming of the mothership. And it was after that that we started talking about all this UFO stuff. That started with Elijah Muhammad. Again, the connection with Detroit, the connection with Islam. This is my next point. If we look at America, and again, we specifically talking about America, you know, for the American audience, but of course, this can be a historical aspect for those who may be in other countries. If we look at America, and we divide it into 4 sections: the East, the West, the Midwest, and the South, we see that these regions of the country are ruled by different religions. What do I mean? On the West Coast, New Age, Scientology, that's the West Coast. You know, you look at any church of Scientology, you know, you go to LA, go to Sunset, you know, you look at the Church of Scientology, it's literally taking up a whole block. They are dominating in that area. You go to the East, what's dominating? Islam, especially, you know, places like Philadelphia, DC, Maryland, Baltimore, etc., etc., etc. East Coast, Islam. You take it down south, Christianity. Lastly, you take it to Midwest, it is Islam, but from the Nation of Islam perspective, or we can just call it Sufism. We'll just call it Sufism, just esoteric Islam. And the East is the exoteric Islam, or the Sunni Islam, or the Orthodox Islam. Right? So one more time. So we got the West Coast, New Age, Scientology; East Coast, Orthodox Islam; down south, Christianity; Midwest, Sufism, or esoteric Islam. If we was to divide it into regions, right? So now that we have a perspective, and again, I'm painting all these, I'm giving you all these tidbits so you can formulate your own concepts and your own opinion about what's going on and what has been. So that's why I don't just want to talk about this day, but also, you know, the events that led up to this day, and essentially so we can have a holistic understanding of the energy versus just judging the energy of what we think it is. Exactly. That's what I said. That's why I said the Islam, because someone commented the Moorish Science Temple. Noble Drew Ali was talking about Islam, right? The Circle 7 Quran. Noble Drew Ali was Islam, right? And of course, Detroit and Chicago was basis for Islam, right? So those of us who know our history know that to be right and exact. Now, people may not view it that way, but I'm just telling you from an esoteric perspective about what's going on in the country if you divide it into sections, and why it's these holy wars, these East versus West wars, and why you can say, you know, why is weed legal on the West Coast but illegal on the East? Because we understand that they don't have the same philosophies and ideologies, although it is the same country. There's many different powers within the same country. So getting back to it, this energy of a holy war, the 9 and the 11, we know that 9 is the energy of war. But then when we go to the energy of 11, we know that 11 is a master number. The number of the inspired healer. What does that mean? What is an inspired healer? Right? An inspired healer, let me actually get up and take a walk, right? We don't want no distractions. The number of the inspired healer represents somebody who is willing to go through literally life and death to extract wisdom. What do I mean? For example, somebody who is willing, let's just use modern terms. Somebody who's willing to go through the streets in order to gain spiritual insight. See, that's the difference between the number 11 and the number 2, because we know that 11 also breaks down to the number 2. But whenever we're dealing with master numbers, we know that we are dealing with higher vibrations. So the higher vibration, the master energy, the master number of 11, the inspired healer, is somebody who is willing to go to the trenches or the streets or the underworld, whatever we want to call it, get wounded or like get a battle scar and heal themselves from the scar that was essentially self-inflicted. And I'm going to actually sit over right. So let me say that one more time for those who may not have caught it. Master number 11, the number of the inspired healer, the healer who is willing to go through the trenches, through the underworld, through the streets, whatever terminology you want to use, get wounded and heal their own wound that was self-inflicted. All for the sake of alchemy, or all for the sake of spiritual insight, or as we call wisdom. Willing to literally go through hell for the sake of wisdom. Not for the money, not for the fame, not for anything material, strictly for the wisdom, right? So when we put these energies together, the energy of the 9 and the energy of the 11, the energy of the inspired healer with the energy of war, the war hero, the one who has gone to war and survived war and who can come back and inspire the people, because having gone through war, having gone through death, the energy of the number 9 is the energy of Mars, the energy of death. Having gone through death and survived, you will have a renewal of consciousness. That's why the number 9 represents completion. The number 9 represents completion because it is a transformation in consciousness. Going through war. Going through war takes you through spiritual consciousness, different levels of consciousness. And that leads into, before we wrap this all up, what type of spiritual insight is there to be gained from this day, this energy, this portal that has been opened? You know, because Aretha Franklin was called the Queen of Soul. If you've been following my channel lately, I've been talking a lot about the soul versus the spirit, right? Just to give us an understanding that we are not spiritual beings, we are soulful beings. We are full of soul light or solar light, right? Now, Jay-Z's album that dropped on the same day of the Twin Towers attack was a soulful sampled album. Basically an album that was very soulful, based on his previous album, which was not soulful. He came back with the blueprint. Remember the blueprint, the foundation, and the foundation that was laid down on that day was soul energy. Not S-O-U-L, but S-O-L, which matches the frequency of the sun. The sun is deemed S-O-L when we study the Hermetic arts, S-O-L. So that soul light, or that solar, because you just add the A and the R, soul becomes solar. So our soul, that eternal fire, right? That's the soul force. The portal that has been opened for all of us. Whenever a celebrity dies, or somebody who is very well known, whenever they pass, that energy that was contained within their body is now available to us all. So in my opinion, based on my spiritual insight, I see the passing of Aretha Franklin being the queen of soul. Her soul, if she is the queen of soul, remember, a queen is the most pure. Somebody who is deemed a queen is the most pure of their people. The queen is the most pure. So the queen being Aretha Franklin, meaning she was the purest of all. She was the purest out of all of the singers. That's why she's deemed the queen. Out of all of the singers, she was deemed the purest. Now, if she's deemed the purest, now she has passed along, and now that energy is available to us all, that purity of soul force, she has opened up a portal for us to open, or not open, she has opened up a portal for us to purify our soul light, or our soul force, which has been dimmed, as we know, through all of these things, this energy of the holy war. See what it did, or what it does accomplish when we have this view of things. This is also why the whole war between religion and, you can say, the New Age or occultism, this is the new war. Now that religion is going down and the esoteric is going up, now it's going to be the war of different forms and sects of esotericism and occultism. There may be a war between the occult and the esoteric. A lot of people don't know the difference between the occult and the esoteric. Allow me to inform you so that we can have a clear understanding here. The first mention of the occult was by John Dee back in the 16th century, which was the 1500s. He referred to the occult as occult science. Occult science consisted of astrology, alchemy, and natural science, or as we call divination, or some people call magic. Occultism versus occult science. Occultism came about in the 19th century, which was in the 1800s when occultism has a rise. The 19th century is definitely the most prominent century when it comes to occultism. Now, the ism was added on to signify the difference between the occult and the esoteric, which is the occult embraces the science and the mathematical aspects of magic versus esoteric philosophy. Meaning, I'll say it in a clearer way. It's the difference between people talking a bunch of spiritual ideas but never arriving at a conclusion versus the ability to arrive at a conclusion. What do I mean? This is a difference between pondering on the mysteries of the universe and not necessarily knowing what the conclusion would be. So there's a bunch of people sitting in a circle pondering on the mysteries of the universe versus a group of people sitting in a circle conducting sex magic. Now, why did I bring that up? It'll go full circle. Don't get thrown off. A group of people conducting sex magic to open up a portal, because now they are all locked together in thought form. In other words, they have all agreed to participate in the act to open up a specific portal for a specific purpose. And they're going to utilize all of this energy. They are literally in a circle, performing sexual acts on each other in a circle, creating that energy flow or that energy grid. This is how people created energy grid. Oh, maybe I shouldn't speak about this, right? Maybe it's a little too early. because we will be talking more about the occult, because I've definitely been doing the research, and there's just so much to read, there's so much to research, so many books to read. But I'm trying to compile all these things in my mind and convey them in a clear manner, so, you know, for those who may not have time to put in the work, you can still have an understanding of what the occult is. But let's get back to occultism versus esotericism. Occultism, remember, came about in the 19th century, which is the 1800s, which is, you know, when the people like Helena Blavatsky, you know, Purcell Beverly Randolph, you know, Nikola Tesla, Albert Einstein. A lot of people that we speak about in today were born in that century. Aleister Crowley, Hitler, Adolf Hitler was born in the 19th century. Many prominent people who went on to do major things was born in this century. You know, Blavatsky, who started the Theosophical Society. Aleister Crowley, who started the Lima, right? Nikola Tesla, who was renowned for his mathematical and his scientific understanding, right? Also H.P. Lovecraft, which I spoke about in my last video, who brought about the Cthulhu mythos, which is very popular to this day. That's what makes him prominent, because he manifested something that is still talked about and still widely appreciated to this day. So there are many prominent figures that were born in the 19th century who laid the foundation to everything that we consider occult. So again, the difference between the occult, what is occult and what is esoteric, is when we say something is occult, that means it is something living. It is something that can be tapped into. It is something that, let me say it this way, because I don't want to get it confused with natural science or divination. See, this is the thing. Let's go back to occult science, which was astrology, alchemy, and natural science. Back in those days, just because occult science was deemed astrology, alchemy, and natural science, or magic, they all had their own way of doing things and their own way of viewing things. They all had their own philosophies, right? So they all didn't necessarily agree. So for example, astrologers were not necessarily alchemists. Alchemists were not necessarily, you know, conducting necromancy, right? This is what I mean. So you had astrology, alchemy, and the natural science. They all didn't necessarily agree. But when it comes to occultism, the entire purpose is to find the common link between all things, not to separate. See, we live in the times of separation. If we take it back, all things were studied as one thing. That's why when you study the tarot, you are also learning the Kabbalah. You are also learning astrology. You are also learning alchemy. As you study the tarot, you are learning all of these things at the same time, if you choose. Now, some people just study the tarot and they don't care about any of that other stuff, which is, as I said, it's just occult science. You may be into the tarot, but you may not care about astrology. You may not care about alchemy. So those are the three schools of thought that may not necessarily have agreed with each other at the time. But occultism was trying to establish, or essentially, now that we go to today's times, what we are still trying to establish is a common link between all things. Instead of looking at this is over here, 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 we look at them as all one thing. This is all truly one science. Different sections and different concepts of one holistic way of life. See, that's the difference. Versus esoteric thinking is, again, you know, this is a thinking that you can ponder on the mysteries of the universe all day but never arrive at a conclusion. The occultist is going out. Remember, the master number 11. The occultist is going out into war for the sake of alchemy, for the sake of breaking open a portal so that they can have spiritual insight. Because the alchemist or the occultist understands that in order for me to have a breakthrough, I need the element of war present. In other words, I'll give you a perfect example. We talk about Hitler. When Hitler went to war, Hitler was in World War I. He was writing, and he had a journal, and he was documenting his time at war. And at the time of war, guess what he was doing? He was conducting occult rituals on the battlefield. This is well documented. Hitler was conducting rituals, occult rituals, while at war. He also said that he came into contact with an enemy. The enemy pointed their gun at him. He looked them straight in their eyes, ready to accept his fate. And they let him live. They didn't shoot. That's why he felt in his heart that he had a higher purpose, because his life was spared on that battlefield by enemy force. You know, so Hitler in his heart always felt like he was here for a higher purpose, master number 11, right? And again, this is not to make anybody feel uncomfortable if they don't, you know, agree with the philosophies and the acts of the people that I'm speaking about. You know, hopefully we're able to detach the emotionalism and just look at the actual facts and the science of what actually happened and why and what was the purpose. So as we see, this portal is taking us all around the occult. I'm just giving y'all various points to access to and how these energies are created. So I think y'all get the point. So let me give everybody a shout out before we get out of here. You know what I mean? I definitely wanted to drop this. So we'll start at the top. So we'll go down these comments. We'll get out of here. So what's up, iVision, Twerp iVision? What's up, Solaris? What's up, Michael? What's up, O'Shea? What's up, Luna? What's up, Moon Spirit? You know, Moon Spirit is always in the building. Special shout out to Moon Spirit. There's probably never a video y'all don't see her. You know, I mean, that's real though. You know, much love. Golden, what's up, Golden Appeal? What's up, Anthony? Hell yeah, you see, I'm always changing my style. I gotta, you know, that's just a Scorpio trait, I guess. We just constantly change. I gotta constantly change the style. I be getting bored. What's up, Aiden Gaming 5? What's up, Brianna? Is it for energy? It's definitely for energy. It's definitely for energy. What's up, Marvin the Magi? What's up, Phoenix Rising? What's up, 305 Capricorn? What's up, Precious Mother Love? What's up, Soft Fire? Precious Mother Love. Chicago is still in the mix if you're up for it. Yeah, we definitely have to speak about that. You know, Chicago is pretty crazy right now, right? But you know, I definitely, since we're talking about war, that makes sense. That actually does make sense. Since we're talking about war, definitely Chicago is definitely a battlefield. There's no question about that in today's times. So definitely, you know, it may be good to absorb that war energy and to utilize it constructively. You know what I mean? This is the same energy that will eat you from the inside out. It will eat you alive. It's okay. That actually sparked a thought. All right. So we're in with this. What is the purpose of this dark energy? Whether we're talking about Hitler, whether we're talking about Aleister Crowley, L. Ron Hubbard, Jack Parkinson's, you know, Blavatsky. You know, what is this dark energy, this dark magic? What is dark energy? All right. And, you know, so I guess some people may call it melanin. Some people may call it carbon. You know, 666, the devil, Satan, Lucifer, Satan, as the Muslims would say. What is this? All right. And also, you know, people like Babylon, not people like Babylon, but it goes back to the the biblical stories of like Babylon and Armageddon, right? The rise of this abomination, right? The rise of this abomination. To me, based on my spiritual insight, I feel this dark energy that has always been talked about in history. This is essentially what the occult is, the study of dark energy, because that's essentially the magic or the real energy, VRIL, which is also connected. I didn't mention that. That's why I mentioned sex magic. The real society was also connected to Hitler because the real society was the ones who was connected to the higher frequencies, or as they deemed aliens, and they were receiving the channels for the UFOs that were built by Germany back in the 40s, the 30s and the 40s. Just a little tidbit, you know, historical reference, you can look it up. The real society, they were a group of sex magicians, female sex magicians, who were able to channel information, you know, as we would call, you know, modern day, not prostitutes, but hoes. Why? Because hoes are strictly about business. If you're not talking about business, you don't even have time to conversate. But I don't even want to go in that direction. But the shit is real. So if I do, when y'all hear me talking about all these dark, sinister things, you know, the energy is real. That's why I speak about it. If the energy wasn't real, there would be no point of speaking about it. But I'm educating everyone on the occult just to familiarize you with the energy that is available to you, if you so choose to tap into it. But you must tame this energy. You must understand that this energy will corrupt you if you allow it to. You must understand that in order for you to survive, the purification that this energy takes you through, this dark, sinister energy will purify you through the fire. I talked a lot about the purification through the fire. So this isn't talking about baptism. You will be purified through the fire, meaning you have to go through the war. You have to go through hardship. You have to go through strife and struggle to gain spiritual insight. And that is why the spirit of revolution is among us. This is the last part of the 21st century and the whole 9/11 energy, the energy of war, the spirit of revolution, the spirit of revolution. The same spirit, since we were talking about the 19th century, which was the 1800s, that's also the century of the Haitian Revolution, as well as the century of Nat Turner, or basically slave revolts. You had the most slave revolts during the 1800s. What energy did they tap into in order to revolt? These people were ignorant. These people had no knowledge of themselves. These people were oppressed. These people had no idea what their original names or tongues was. Kind of sounds like the position we're in now, or at least everybody is still confused as who we really are, right? Most of us still truly don't know. However, that spirit of revolution, that Armageddon, that abomination, that Babylon, that dark energy, that melanin, that carbon, that devil, that Lucifer, whatever you want to fucking call it, whatever you want to fucking call it, is the spirit of revolution. It is the spirit of revolution, meaning spiritual insight gained through struggle. This is why we have to struggle as soulful people, and we have to purify ourselves through our own eternal flames. This is why we have to go through so much, because we have to purify ourselves and remain open to all of the energy that is available for us to receive, right? Because guaranteed, alchemists are receiving this energy that is available to them. They know how to conduct the rituals and pour down the energy that is available in the cosmos. All war is cosmic energy. This is what war is. War is cosmic energy at its grossest form or its lowest form. It is cosmic energy in its most destructive form. which is what? The spirit of revolution, cosmic energy in its most destructive form, which is essentially the source of the slave revolts. So I'm just giving you all perspective. As you study the occult, these names and these topics will become more familiar to you, but I'm going to reveal all these things as we go along as well. So this is another reason why I'm not really dropping videos on a daily basis, because I'm taking more time to study and to be more thorough with the videos, to really give you a holistic idea and perspective of what we deem the occult. So this is the difference between me just standing in front of this camera and telling you something and expecting you to believe me and pointing you back to the reference and the source, and you come to your own conclusion and you have your own spiritual revelations and your own spiritual insights, and we all can come together and share these insights and these breakthroughs and come to an ultimate conclusion and be able to essentially do things that were never done ever in history, to tap into the fullest potential, right? As we know, this is a collective thing as well as an individual thing, because we are in the age of individualism. Everybody has the potential to be their best selves. Everybody wants to be a superstar. Everybody wants to be a celebrity. Nothing wrong with everybody showcasing their individuality via social media. Nothing wrong with it. It is a tool to be utilized, just like every other tool, you know. So we are definitely in that new age, the 21st century. We are definitely in the times of the holy wars. In our lifetime, we will see this energy manifest in various forms. We will definitely see this energy. And again, this is still tension between the West and the East to this day, and it's 20 years later, 18 years later, 19 years later. This tension will not stop. This tension will continue. We will continue to see this throughout our lifetime. It's not going anywhere. We were just alive to see the birth. We may not be alive to see the ending, but we will live through it and we will survive through it. Right? Let me get back to the comments. So this is what I mean. So it's very, very windy. Give me 1 second here. You know, it's very, I can stand right here. We're good right here. As long as y'all can see me clearly, we go. So we see the energy is very active, right? Super active. Let me get back to the comments. What's up, Petunia 77? What's up, Cali? You already know what the deal is. I appreciate that. Definitely always staying fresh. What's up, student teacher? Man. Yeah, definitely. Midwest is always hitting hard. You know what I mean? I think I shouted you out already, Candace, but if I didn't, I'll shout you out again. People sleeping on your teachings, bro, it ain't for the sleep, it's for the woke. You know what I mean? This ain't gonna wake up somebody who has not already woken themselves up and who desires to purify themselves with their own soul force. It's not gonna appeal to them, nor should it. Again, let me make myself clear. These messages, these transcripts are not for the public. These are only for those who are watching the video, who have been given the spiritual insight to understand the video. Because there may be people watching, but they don't understand and they can't put it together. But if you are someone who can and see the holistic view of what I'm presenting to you, then it is for you. Everyone else, you know, everybody's going to take their own perspective. Everybody's going to view, you know, because everybody's different, you know. Everybody doesn't study history. Everybody just has their own perspective of what they think happened. People think they know what happened in World War II. People think they know what happened in Germany. People think they knew who Hitler was because of the image we've been put inside of our mind, the image that has been put inside of our minds by the powers that be. And why not? I'll tell this personal story, right? Because I'm speaking so much about Hitler. Let me tell this personal story. And I don't know how it's going to make anybody feel, but I don't care about how it makes you feel because this is an actual story and I actually went through it. So I'm just conveying to you something that actually occurred. In 6th grade, however you are, however old you are in 6th grade, I don't know, y'all do the math, however old you are in 6th grade. I had this history teacher, I will not mention the school or the time, you know, what it is, y'all put it together. Not put it together like find out who it is, but you know, just follow along. 6th grade, I had this history teacher, and she could have possibly been Jewish. She definitely was European. She could have possibly been Jewish. I'm not sure. But basically, I remember this one particular day. And on this one particular day, we were studying, you know, Nazi Germany, right? And I remember she was talking a lot of shit about it, right? And I remember she said something like this. She said, I will not be here next year. You guys will have a new teacher, and the new teacher that you guys have will say that everything I told you guys was a lie, but don't believe them. And in my eyes, or in my mind, I'm like, why the fuck would a teacher even say something like that? But that's not the point. Fuck the teacher. She was just there. But my personal experience was, as we were studying Nazi Germany, and I saw the image of the swastika. I saw the image in this history book. Also, if y'all didn't know, Satanists, those who practice Satanism, utilize the symbols of Nazi Germany. They pull from that energy. So modern day Satanists pull from that energy source. Just to put it into perspective, I'm giving y'all the game. So I'm giving y'all all these again. This is why I'm not doing videos. I couldn't do this if I was doing videos every day. I'm trying to piece it together in so many intricate ways. Let me continue the story. So when I saw this image of the swastika, I saw the image. I began to write that shit on my arm. I began to paint with my pen swastikas all over my arm. You know, kind of like the artist 6ix9ine. He has a 6ix9ine. He has a 6 and the 9s all over his arms and shit. I did that. I saw this image of the swastika and I put that shit all over my arms. Both of my arms. That shit, I was covered in swastikas. And it was a student in front of me. She saw what I was doing. And she was like, what the fuck is it? I'm telling. All right? She was like, I'm telling. But for some reason, the spirit pretty much told her to calm that shit down. And she didn't say nothing. Because had she said something, I probably would have got suspended for that. You know, I don't know. Who knows what I probably would have just washed it off my arm, whatever. But it's not till this year that I understood the connection. I never understood my connection between that. As we know, of course, the swastika is an older symbol that represented, you know, something else. You know, for those who don't understand the symbolism, the swastika was not created by the Germans. It was adopted by the Germans to utilize their own agendas. It is what it is. So I never understood why I did that. It was an impulse. It was intuitive. I've never done anything like that in my life before or after. But it's not until this year that I understand. And this is what I mean by how, as children, we plant certain seeds in our minds that we don't understand till we are mature. You know, so that was a seed that was planted. It is what it is, though. Not saying that I'm anything special. Not saying that that makes me special. Not saying that that is the energy that everybody needs to work with. This is, again, just essentially for those, just strictly for those who resonate with the frequency. Simple as that, all right? Those can understand. But let me get back to the comments. Again, I definitely want to, what is it? What's up, Katrina? I think that's how you say your name. Katarina. What about 29 and the master number? Oh, yeah, that's what I talked about. Yeah, so these comments were left before I even started the video. Well, not started the video, but before I started speaking. So these are kind of, I'm giving everybody a shout out. What's up, Lively Living? Let me see, just make sure everybody's good. What's up, Afro Pick? Afro Pick or Lavi. We just call you Lavi. Lavi. Okay, Lavi says, can you also give an example of everyday portals most of us have probably already opened? Okay, no problem. What is an example of a portal that we all open on a daily basis? Well, for one, we come out of a portal. What do I mean? We come out of the portal of sleep, or what we deem sleep. We come out of the portal of what we consider the dream world. And based on what type of dreams we had, it will determine our mood. And depending on our mood will affect the rest of our day. So we come out of the portal of sleep, which will affect the rest of our day. Even if we don't look at it that way, even if we don't understand it that way. So what's another way? Every day. If we look at the rituals that we conduct every day, everything is a ritual. What do I mean? You have a morning ritual. What do you do every morning to prepare yourself for the day? You have your nightly ritual. What do you do every night to prepare yourself for dream world or for sleep? All these things are rituals. Morning ritual, night ritual, the ritual, your lunch break. That is a ritual. Where do you go every day for lunch? Where do you sit every day at lunch? Where do you drive every day for lunch? All right. What are the things we do on a daily basis? Those acts create spirals. Because remember, there's no circles or spirals. Those acts that are done continuously on a daily basis create spirals or little bitty quantum entanglements. Little bitty entanglements that connect us to people, places, and things that we may not be aware of, or as they say, spooky action at a distance. For those who don't understand that concept, is once two atoms have interacted with each other at some point in time, it does not matter how far away they are from each other in the universe. They will always have a correspondence. So whatever that atom is doing over there, it will be mimicked in that atom over there, even if they're a million miles away. This is deemed spooky action at a distance, or as we call it, quantum entanglement, as we know now. So the rituals that we conduct every day are creating quantum entanglements that will turn into events that we think or that appeared to be random, but actually were the effect of a cause that we put into play unconsciously due to some type of quantum entanglement. So all these random events that we think is random, all these things that happen to us on a daily basis is a result of some type of quantum entanglement that we created in our reality at some point. And we're just receiving that energy back. This is why it is important to always be spiritually minded or have a mind of an alchemist or a scientist in all things. Because when you have the mind of a scientist, you don't take anything personally. You allow yourself to remain open and to receive the things that are owed to you based on your actions and your own quantum entanglements. For example, some people call it karma. But it's not the karma. It's not what you receive that is the karma. It's how you receive what you receive that creates the karma. What do I mean? It is how you receive what you receive. It is how you feel about your experience that creates the karma. It's not what happens to you. It's about how you feel about what happens to you that determines the end result. One person may get shot and cry it's the worst day of their life, They never go in that environment again. You know, it's life-changing. It made them a better person. Somebody else gets shot. This is just another day. They going in the same place they got shot the next day. This is just everyday life. This is just a part of life. It doesn't make them change or view things any different. Just like, okay, let me tighten up. Let me not necessarily change, but let me tighten up my program so that I'm not going to move away. I'm just going to make sure that doesn't happen again. Why? Because I am a master of my environment. I'm not going to run away from my environment because I had a misfortune in my environment. Just because I may have had a misfortune in my environment does not mean that I need to navigate away from my environment. Sometimes it may mean that, but sometimes it may not mean that. It all depends on how you see it. So, again, I'm just giving you so many different plays, so many different military strategies. I'm truly giving out military strategies. It's just occult information for those listening, but for those who is receiving the message deeply, these are military strategies so that you can arm yourself for war that we know that we have to face. Every day we wake up in a war for our minds. We understand that. Do you have possession of your mind, or is it being possessed by spirits? The spirit of money, the spirit of greed, hatred, all this stuff, right? Or the spirit of compassion. Well, you know, we ain't got to go into the Eastern philosophy on you. Let's go back to the comments. All right. What's up, Sierra? How do you draw from the Chicago energy? Okay, so let's just say you live in Chicago. Let's just say you live there. Let's just say you are fully aware of what goes on in the city. Nobody can tell you different because you see it with your own eyes. You may have seen someone die. You know, especially if you live in Chicago, you may have seen someone die. You know what I mean? So you may have experienced such trauma that it has affected you as a person. It may have made you cold-hearted, or it may have made you compassionate. It all depends on who the person is, how it will affect them, right? So you wake up in a war zone, literally. You know, if you are in certain aspects of Chicago, I believe the South Side and the East Side is the most dangerous. I could be wrong. I'm not there, but just based off, you know, the things that I've heard. But, you know, whatever the actual reality is. So right now, I'm not speaking on the actual reality. I'm not there. But whatever the actual reality is, those who are there know what the real is. So we understand that this is dark energy. This is satanic energy. This is carbonated energy. This is energy. Essentially, let's look at the play. The play is, as we know, you have very few wealthy people and a lot of people that are in poverty. The bloodsuckers of the poor, or the 10% and 5%er, or the Nation of Islam lingo, the 10%, or the bloodsuckers of the poor, or as some people call the Illuminati, whoever, those who are taking the resources from the people and hoarding the resources for themselves and just leaving crumbs for the people to fight each other. Essentially, this is how the play is. The wealthy take the resources and leave crumbs for the rest of the population to fight over, as we call the rat race, right? That's why it's called a rat race. It's one piece of cheese. It's 9 rats. Who's going to get the cheese? It's a fight to the death. And that's essentially the energy that is put out to people. When people go out job hunting, that's the mentality that they have. Like, yo, I may be competing against 5, 6 different people who's, you know, applying for the same position. So I have to, as they say, I have to stand out. So I have to do something. So even if my resume isn't as powerful or long as these 5 or 6 people that is, you know, competing for the same job as me, I have to do something to make myself stand out, right? Or at least I guess this is what the thought should be. If you understand that it is a competition, or that's the way it is set up, then you have to be built like a warrior to compete and to survive in this type of environment that is self-created. So yes, This is a self-created environment. Remember, it is about the spirit of revolution. The spiritual insight is gained from the struggle. So this environment, this struggle environment has been created in order for certain amounts of us, as they call the 144,000, just to give people a perspective. Just as an example, let's just say 144,000 out of those millions and billions of impoverished people, 144,000 of them will rise above. So you just got to ask yourself, is the struggle and the poverty going to destroy you, or is it going to be utilized as a tool of ascension? Many people are trying to escape the struggle, not realizing that the power is found within the struggle. The struggle is the power is the struggle. That's what separates the real from the fake, right? The real have been through struggle. The fake pretend like they've been through something, but they never really have. They pretend, but the real only speak truth, because they don't have the opportunity to pretend, because shit was real before they even knew what it meant to pretend to be something that you're not. Shit was already real, so they had no choice but to act accordingly and to adapt to their environment. So we are in this artificial environment where resources are taken away from us, and we are left to essentially kill each other for resources. That's essentially what it is, right? We are killing each other for resources, right? Mix that in with self-hate, mix that in with beef and drama and warfare with, you know, rivals, and you got a big gumbo of satanic dark energy. So, constructively, now that we understand what the environment is, what do? How do you tap into the spirit of revolution? Once you understand that revolution is all amongst us. When we see our people killing each other, this should not make us feel sad, but we must understand that they are sacrificing themselves for us that are still alive. Understand what's going on here. They become the sacrifice for us to live. They die so we can live. People must die in order for people to live. That is a universal principle. It has nothing to do with, you know, what's right, wrong, good, or bad. Remember, war is necessary. I made the video. I've been talking about war this whole month. War is necessary. So places like Chicago, places like, you know, there's many places around the world that it is warfare going on. So when you are in these places where there's war and chaos and death and destruction all amongst you, your life is literally a battlefield of survival on a daily basis. Just always understand, remember the master number 11, there's always a way to gain spiritual insight in the midst of war. Be like Hitler if you choose. While in the midst of war, I encourage everyone to read his journal that he documented at wartime. So yes, I would say if you really want to know what to do and how to utilize war energy properly, you have to conduct rituals, dark, sinister rituals, because it is a dark energy you're pulling from. If your source is a darker energy, then you conduct darker rituals. Some people, for example, kill as a human sacrifice to empower themselves. The spiritualists understand that. Maybe I'm going too deep with it, but y'all already know we keep it real, we keep it uncensored. You need power. Some people kill for power. Some people steal for power. Some people harm for power. But we understand that you must acquire power. And when you conduct rituals to correspond the astrological or the cosmic energies with the terrestrial energies or the earth energies, the magnetism with the electricity that creates a electromagnetic frequency or reality that generates a reality or a matrix, then you know, if the source of the matrix is being generated by dark energy, then you need to tap into that source and redirect that energy. So that is what you are trying to do or attempting to do. You are attempting to tap into that same source, but redirect the energy to be in accordance with your will. So there you go. All right. I know that was kind of long. But again, this is why I had to slow down on the video so I can just take some time to really think. You know what I mean? See, it's, as they say, the mind becomes super powerful when you give yourself time to think. You know, it's a problem. It's a problem. So I done been giving myself time to think. That's all it is. That's all it is. Yeah, that Haitian Revolt documentary reveals secrets about that. Definitely. Okay. Marvin the Magi leaves a 9/11 donation. You already know Marvin the Magi. I know you probably left this maybe 30 minutes ago. I'm probably just shouting you out now. I don't even know if you still watching, homie, but I appreciate you for the donation that you left, I know, like 30 minutes ago. But I appreciate you. It's much love. You already know. Much love and success to you. Okay. What's up, Jay Flower? What's up, Leandro? Let me see. The I'm. How do I seduce someone with just my mind? All right, so I guess this is pretty fitting. Because, you know, who else would you ask? Who else would you ask that question, right? Because who else would tell you that? So I had to come to the realization that, because trust me, if you guys seen my email, and you guys seen, because some of you motherfuckers are the people I'm talking about. If some of you guys seen the type of messages that are sent to me when it concerns dark energy, you know, I will not repeat, but just know that shit gets pretty sinister. But this is why I want to lay the foundation of, just because the energy is dark doesn't mean that you have to utilize it for purposes that causes somebody to experience some type of strife. All right? So I'm just making that clear. Just because it's dark energy, just because it's chaotic energy, doesn't mean that that's how you utilize it. A sword can be picked up to cut off heads, or it can be utilized to cut up food and feed people. It all depends on how you use the sword. So the energy is like the sword. You have to shape and mold the sword according to your will, your true will. If you don't know about the true will, study Aleister Crowley. He speaks about the true will. So we're not just talking about the will, but the true will, your true purpose, meaning your soul's calling, not your humanly calling, but your soulful calling. The ego or the human, you know, wants to be rich and wealthy and live a fabulous life. The soul may just, let's just say, for example, your soul may just want to get high. I'm just using extremes because, you know, we are in extreme times. I'm just utilizing extremes. So on one extreme, you have, let's just say, a billionaire. On another extreme, you have a drug addict who lives on the streets. If we utilize our human brain and judge the situation, we're going to say that person with the money is better. I would rather be that person instead of this person who has to struggle and suffer every day, and this person is pretty much living on clouds. Why? Because we all are seeking to live on clouds, right? Have that heaven on earth. Not understanding that it's an internal thing. Has nothing to do with what you have or what you possess. externally, but how well can you control your elemental forces? How much in control are you over your own mind versus how much money is in your bank account? But nonetheless, again, I don't want to discourage anybody from their career paths. That's not what this is about. It's just the perspective you have when you are going about your journey. When you are initiating yourself into your solar mysteries, going back to the example I mentioned, the crackhead or the drug addict is at peace internally. The billionaire is in hell internally because they have a greed within them that cannot be satisfied, so they have to keep extracting resources from people in ways that may be other than righteous. Anyway, hopefully y'all understand the example. Just because somebody appears to be wealthy on the outside, they can be in hell internally. And just because it appears that somebody is in hell on the outside, they can be at peace on the inside. So who truly is in heaven? What truly is heaven? So I just want to, this is what I mean, you know. So I know this had really nothing to do with the question that was asked. But again, I've given my time, I've given myself time to think. So there's so much information that I just been keeping to myself. So it's just all coming out in the video. But that's the purpose of the video, to document the expressions, right? To keep everybody in tune. And hopefully this can be a help to you, even if it helps you indirectly. These particular concepts you may or may not understand and may or may not be helpful. You may be helped indirectly just by tuning into the frequency of the video. See, remember, you may not even understand the words. It may just be the frequency. Why? Because I remember when I was seeking information in my beginnings, and I didn't understand anything that was being spoken about. I didn't understand anything about the occult. I didn't understand occult terms, spirituality. There was a time where that was another language to me. However, in time, in practice, being in the field, it eventually blossomed into something, right? Anyway, let's answer the question, shall we? The question that was posed was, how do you seduce somebody with just your mind? Well, you have to define what the mind is, because if you don't have a solid definition of what the mind is, how can you properly utilize it? So that's the first thing. You have to have a proper understanding of what the mind is in order to use it. Because if you think the mind is the brain, then you're going to have some trouble utilizing your mind because you think it's the brain. Or just because people are like, use your mind, use your mind, use your mind, they point to the brain, but the mind is more than the brain, right? But it's just, this is all we have. This is just a metaphor. This is just symbolic. The finger pointing to the temple is just symbolic. The temple, the internal temple, right? This is just symbolic. This doesn't mean like we're pointing at the actual head or the brain. This is just a symbol. So when you see people putting up those symbols, this is just a symbol versus a reality. The reality of, yeah, look inside your head. No, it's not a reality. It is a symbol. Remember the difference. There's a difference between a reality and a symbol. So to answer the question, because I know it's like, oh, I'm dancing around the question, but you know, I gotta paint the picture. Because I could have just gave you a quick answer and just kept going, but not really expounded on what is the purpose. So again, I want to establish, just because this is dark energy does not mean that the only way that this can be utilized is you got to go do something bad, or you got to go do something wrong, or you got to go do something, go do something sinister. It does not mean any of that. Some people choose to do that and it works. But as alchemists, we understand that we have all the tools we need. We have to be scientists and mathematicians if we ain't trying to be out here shooting and killing shit to get some energy. So if you ain't trying to be killing shit to get no energy, you ain't trying to destroy people, other people, to build yourself up, then you have to be an alchemist. Because if you don't, then you will be subjected to having to destroy other people to get power. Your power comes at the cost of somebody else's demise when you don't understand the mind, not the brain, but the mind. So the seduction of the mind occurs when you know how to use it. If you know how to use your mind, you can seduce just by, you don't even have to do anything special. And this is the point that I'm trying to convey. If you know how to use your mind, you don't have to do anything special to seduce anybody, because you know how to utilize your mind. There is no special technique. If you know how to use your mind, it just becomes second nature. Does a cat have to be taught how to be a cat? No, it is already within their DNA. It is already within our DNA to be attracted to the opposite sex or the same sex. If you are homosexual, does not matter. However we are wired is how we are wired. So if we are already wired to be attracted to the opposite sex, then we are already wired to know what to do when in the presence of the opposite sex. And we already know what to do, how to procreate or conduct pleasure or conduct rituals with the opposite sex. Everything is already encoded within the DNA. So we know how to utilize our mind. It's just a simple thing. This is, for example, I know everybody doesn't do drugs, and I don't encourage everybody to do drugs. But those of you who have experimented with psychedelics understand what I mean when I say a psychedelic experience is your mind is manifesting outwardly. That is the definition of a psychedelic experience. I just want to turn the camera this way, you know. So don't want the phone to be in direct sunlight for too long. As we know, the phone can get overheated. So let me actually get out of the direct sunlight. So let me stand over here for a minute. So as I was saying, just because we are dealing with dark energy does not mean that the energy must be focused into some type of sinister act. We are alchemists, we are scientists, we are mathematicians. We know how to utilize celestial and earthly energy. So again, it's all about you utilizing your mind. If you use your mind, it is just a simple act of tapping into a certain frequency. Back to the psychedelic example that I was using, excuse me. A psychedelic experience is you manifesting your mind outwardly. Anybody who has had a psychedelic experience knows this to be a fact. Or hopefully you know it to be a fact. Your mind is literally manifesting on the outside of you. What was inside of your mind is now outside of your mind physically. You are physically manifesting. And you're not doing anything special. You're just really sitting back having an experience. Not you, okay, well, how do I do this? How do I do this? How do I do this? You're not thinking like that. You are just having an experience. Because you are tapping into the DNA codes that are already in there. And they already know what to do when they come online. It's already set to activate. Right? Just like we already have THC receptors in the brain. We know this, right? We have THC receptors in the brain. Where's THC found? In the ganja. So the brain already has THC receptors. Why is there THC receptors in the brain if the brain was not made to be utilized or to combined or to correspond with the chemical of THC? Why would you have a THC receptor and you're not supposed to utilize THC? Now, again, everybody will have their own opinion. This isn't to convince anybody that drugs are good, bad, right or wrong, you should or shouldn't do them. Just conveying the point, you know what I mean? So we just want to keep everything in context. That's all it is, you know. So just don't take it out of context. You know, this is trying to advocate you to go out there and destroy your life, because you will. You know, trying to do things that were not spoken about here. But Lavi wants me to call her Afro Pick, so Afro Pick, I will respect that, as I will always have. Okay. What's up, back from hiatus? What's up, profoundly dignified? So, and again, I didn't plan on making the video this long, but I just allowed my mind to take us on a journey. I just opened myself up, you know, like just lead us where we should be going. So I know this came out very unorthodox, very all over the place, very creatively, very right-brained, very occult. But nonetheless, you go back and you piece it together and you figure out, you utilize your Rubik's Cube in your mind, and you come to your own conclusions about the things that I may have referenced in this video, and you connect it with the things you know and the things that you discover based on your spiritual breakthroughs. You connect the dots and you formulate your own opinion. All right, you know, light work, you know. Just remember, I want y'all to remember, just because I heard about this from one of my teachers today. I heard about this concept. I'll share it with you guys. You know, the extended family. I'll share it with you guys, you know. What was said was, because of the Western diet, that's why we have to live the type of lives that we live. In other words, let me put it this way. The reason why you see so many people hitting the gym hard, going hard at the gym, because they have to really burn them chemicals out of their body based on their diet. Meaning if they were not going so hard in the gym, they would be in a pretty bad predicament based on the Western diet. Now, this also means that the body can regulate itself. In other words, there's no need to work out when you eat right, when you give your body the proper fuel, because it regulates itself. You will be toned without working out, because the body regulates itself. The body will keep you in shape. The body knows how to keep itself in shape once given the right atmosphere. When we provide our body with the right atmosphere, it can take on an energy of itself. Like, oh, that's all I needed. The same thing happened when, you know, you practice urine therapy. When you start drinking your urine and that urine is absorbing all the mucus in your internal captivities, purifying you with the fire, and now you start to have spiritual insights because you are cleansing from the inside out. When you provide your body with the correct atmosphere, it has a life of its own, just like it always does, but you don't have to necessarily do anything extra. You can pretty much chill when you have the alkaline diet, right? But we know that this is beyond diet, so we don't want to keep it at diet. That's just one level of the many levels, because you correct your diet, but you don't know how to tap into alchemy or astrology or divination or natural science or natural magic, then you can have a fairly decent life. But that's your diet alone isn't necessarily going to help you explore the mysteries if you haven't already unlocked your mind. You must unlock your mind for everything to make sense. The occult doesn't even make sense if your mind isn't unlocked. You don't even understand like how thoughts become things if your mind isn't already unlocked. So none of this can be put to use if your mind isn't already wired to understand the information that's being presented. So therefore, you have to unlock your mind, which is basically all that we talk about on the channel anyway, right? This is all we talk about, right? This is all we've been talking about the whole video, right? But we just giving a historical context. So this is bigger than me. This is my whole thing is it's bigger than me and my personal experience. This is something that has been going a long way before me, and it will continue when I'm gone. But if I can compile all of the information and essentially study the past so that I can understand the present and project or make a prediction on the future, study the past so we can predict the future, then at least I can give accurate predictions. Essentially, that is the goal of an astrologer, right? To cast predictions, to give accurate predictions on possible events based on the past or based on the movements of the stars. Remember, time is not linear. That's another thing. So we don't think in past, present, and future. This is all one continuous moment. Why? Because you got to utilize your mind to go to the past. You got to utilize your mind to go to the future. You got to utilize your mind to even navigate in the current reality. All this is mental. We know this, right? This is the first universal law, the law of mentalism. Everything is mental, but we don't know what the mental is, which is not the brain. The brain is the last layer of the mind. If we wanted to put the mind into layers, the brain would be the last layer instead of the first. You got at least. We live in an 11-dimensional universe, according to quantum physics. We live in 11 dimensions. So the brain existing in the 3rd dimension, how would the brain look in the 7th dimension, the 8th dimension, the 9th dimension, right? How would you look in 9D? How do you look in 11D? How do you look in 1D? It's always been man, woman, know thyself. Because if you don't know yourself, this information does not serve you. If you don't study yourself, there's no purpose of studying the occult, because the occult is you. And you are the occult. The occult is the study of the human vessel. In order to understand that it is strictly a vessel and not a whole reality. The body is a vessel, but not a whole reality. There's many different aspects. The body is one aspect, but there's many different forms, right? So again, hopefully this is making sense, right? So I'm gonna give it to you in an unorthodox way, as we always do. So, and again, I got the camera just in case y'all want to know what I'm doing. I'm definitely working on a website. For those who don't know, I definitely want to add more quality to the video. So I may not be doing live streams as much. I may just be recording from the camera. So, just to get better quality, better audio, so on and so forth. For those who are familiar with my older works, you know where I'm going. The only reason I just use the phone because it can live stream, not necessarily for the quality, because it just got the best quality. It's just that, the phone is an application or a tool to be utilized. I keep saying this is the last point. This is the last point. This is the last point. But it's just information just keeps, I don't know. It's very otherworldly, to say the least. Nonetheless, let's stay on point. All right. Yeah, I apologize for the winds, It's the energy. It's the energy today, you know. So bear with me through the winds. Trust me, it didn't get windy until I hit the record button, trust me. Anthony says, fasting keeps me shredded when I take a break from working out. That's what I mean. Trust me, if you fast, you really don't have to work out. You stay in shape when you feed yourself properly. The right physical foods and the right mental foods. The right soulful foods. But nobody's going to tell you that. Why? Because, again, this is the difference between esotericism and occultism. The occultist will tell you the truth. The esoteric will have you coming back to them. I keep trying to tell you, this is the difference between the real and the fake. The fake gives you something synthetic. The real gives you something from the source. Right? The real says, I'm going to teach you how to do it so that you don't have to keep coming to me. That's what the real does. The real teaches. The fake tries to be the supreme teacher. The fake amplifies the ego. The real humbles themselves to those around them and serve their communities. How many of us are serving versus how many of us are trying to acquire, you know, a higher position versus just serving those around us who wish to receive. In other words, this is the difference between, let's just say, for example, again, we like examples, right? I'm visualizing the scenarios as I'm speaking about it. You have $5,000 in your pocket. You walking down the street. Let's just say you are downtown in whatever city you're in. It's mad busy. You have $5,000 in your pocket. You see somebody on the corner who looks like they need assistance. Will you be the person that, all right, I got about 5 bands. I can throw them 100. Make their whole day light up. They can buy all the fucking crack they want, all the drugs, whatever their addiction is, they gonna have fun tonight. Fuck it. I ain't giving this to them because they're gonna do the right thing. I just want them to enjoy themselves. Here, take this, take that, 100. Then, trust me, they will take it and they will enjoy themselves. But the next day, they're right back fucked up. Right back on that same corner, right back, you know, looking like they need help. Versus somebody who has that same amount of money in their pocket, but who understands, I can give them money, but that's temporary. I can help them out. But how far is that $100 going to really take them in life? But I may be able to say words to them that they remember for the rest of their life. Or I may be able to show them something that will be utilized by them for the rest of their life. The long term versus the short term. That's why it ain't shit to give people money. Here, take that band, 10 stacks, 20 stacks, 30 stacks, 50 stacks, 100 stacks. It's nothing. It's literally, money ain't a thing, right? It literally isn't. Do what you want with it. Versus wisdom, something that you can be 90 years old and still benefit from. That 10 bands, 20 bands, 50 bands, 100 bands. Fuck it, man. Yeah. Shout out to Drake, you know, because Toronto is very close to Detroit. For those who didn't know that. you know, because but Drake been on top for a while. But who do you think gave Toronto its flavor, other than those Detroit players, right, who was making that journey into Canada? Anyway, just history. For those who may not understand the underworld, how the underworld came into existence. From that spirit of revolution, from that dark energy that we spoke about, that is the creation, or how the underworld came to be, from dark energy. We had to make a way where there was no way. How do you make a way when there's no way? You need to tap into some dark source. You need to tap into some revolution. You need to tap into some Black Wall Street. For those who catch that. Anyway, let us continue. Y'all see I'm going all over the fucking place. It's crazy right now. All right, it's crazy. Okay. Love Kush, you giving me B.O.B. vibes. Guess it's the angle. Haven't caught you live in a while. Much love to you. Yeah, definitely much love to B.O.B. Definitely very knowledgeable brother. I got this album on my phone right now, even though I haven't even really thoroughly listened to it, but it's definitely when it comes to consciousness and spirituality, yeah, definitely, you know. I would say he's a good introduction for those who are trying to understand metaphysics and spirituality. You need a good introduction. You need a buffer point. You know, you need somebody to convey it to you in an artistic, creative format, because you just may learn better that way, which I understand. My first introduction into the occult was through hip hop, through the music, because they were putting all type of occult concepts in the music, which I may not have understood had I read a textbook about that, but I understood the way it was creatively used. So I already had an understanding of the occult or New Age because I listened to hip hop, which was birthed out of the New Age back in the 70s. The New Age movement was birthed in the 70s, just like hip hop was birthed. So they are actually one and the same. For those who may not know, again, I'm doing my best to make it holistic, give you the historical with the metaphysical, with the quantum, with the cosmic. All right. No, it's mad windy. It's mad windy. Anthony, what point did you start receiving downloads? I'm kind of there already, but it's more so me obtaining a deeper understanding of what I already know. I would say 2009, the master number 11, the year of the 11, and I'm not making that shit up. 2009, I told y'all the story. What happened that year? 2009, master number 11 woke me up. That's real shit. That ain't just because we talking about the video. That's just how it happened. The year 2009 is what I first start with. Was the year I found out about meditation. The year I found out about synchronicity. The year I found out about the subconscious mind and how to utilize creative visualization. And it was also the year that I made touchdown in Los Angeles. A thought that was only in my mind, a dream that had became a reality. That was the initiation for me, to let me know that thoughts do really become things, because it literally just happened right before my eyes. So 2009 was when I started to utilize my mind more than my body. 2009 is when the change occurred. 2009 is when I went from the demon to the angelic, or half and half. My demonic energy, it started to create an angelic counterpart to balance the energy out. Because prior before that, you know, it was straight dark energy. Not saying I was doing rituals or anything, that's just the way I was. You know what I mean? That spirit of revolution was in me very deeply, as we already know. Remember, I was telling y'all, I've been telling y'all stories about my schools, the schools I went, you know, all of these teachers. Oh, these teachers. All right? But, you know, it's all good, because I still would have hit that ass with them swastikas on my arm. And if she was Jewish. So, it is what it is. And that's just some man shit. We're keeping it on. She still could get the D. My lips is dry. I apologize. Let me take a sip of the water. 1 second here. No shit. Almost 2 hours without a sip of water. I apologize. It is what it is. All right, let's see. Where we at with it? Afro pick. How do you personally determine when a feeling is yours or someone else's? I'm trying to get quicker at it so that I don't have so many blocks. Okay. So how do you determine when you're feeling emotion? Because Afro Pit brings up a great point. Because just because we may be feeling some type of emotion doesn't necessarily mean it is being generated from within us. We may just be receiving an energy that is being projected into the environment that we may be in, and we just may be feeling the energy of a particular environment or a particular person who essentially is an environment. So when I talk about an environment or atmosphere or a universe, I'm not just talking about a household or, you know, a building. I'm also talking about people as well. You know, just the environment of another person, you know, you can start to mix with these. So if you truly want to know if it's yours or if it's coming from your environment, you just gotta, it's more of a thing of, you know, I want to make this very, very practical. I don't want to take it too far to the left, because, you know, it's easy to do it. But if you want to determine your energy from somebody else's or outside source, essentially, how do you tell an internal source versus an external source? Essentially, that's essentially what's being asked. Internal versus external. How do you know which is which? Well, the internal can always be taken back home. In other words, when you feel something, you know why. In other words, let me see. Oh, another way of saying this. Meaning, emotions are unique. There's different types of sadness. There's different types of happiness. For example, every moment has a certain energy signature. So what do I mean? What I mean is this. Like, for example, we were just talking about the year 2009. If I think back to the year 2009, it has a unique energy signature. I can feel 2009. I can feel 2015. I can feel the energy of those years because they all have a unique energy signature. It is that unique energy signature that allows us to time travel. I can travel through time strictly through emotion. Maybe it's a Scorpio thing. Maybe it's a water sign thing. But when I think back on years, I can tap into the emotion and how I was feeling, what was going on around me. I can project myself into a scenario that I already been through and place myself in the scenario I've already been through and literally feel. It's like I can literally replay things right back in my mind and alter them if I wanted to. And I'm sure, you know, I'm not the only one that can do that. But if you want to tell the difference between the internal and the external is, can you expand on the emotion or is it stagnated? If it's coming from an external source, it will be hard for you to expand on it because it's not coming from you. So it's not coming from your source. But if it's coming from your source, you can expand on it. You can make it bigger. You can make it smaller. You can make it more vibrant. You can make it more subtle. You can project it. You can, you know, become receptive to it. You can manipulate the emotion according to your will, essentially, if it's yours. If it's yours, it can be manipulated according to your will. If it is not yours, then you know what I mean, it's not gonna, you wouldn't even want to do that. It doesn't feel like you would even want to explore it that deeply because it's not coming from you. So if it's coming from your source, then you should be able to trace the emotion back to your source. If it is coming from someone else's source, then you will not be able to trace it back. So your ability to trace the emotions back to the source is, you know, okay, I'm projecting this from my source versus somebody else is projecting it from their source. You will be able to feel on an emotional level the energetic difference of what thoughts and what emotions are yours versus what thoughts are outside of yourself, right? You can feel it. You know what I mean? It's a soul thing. It's a soulful thing, a solar thing. You know, so definitely trace it back to the origins. If you can't trace it back, or if it doesn't, you know what I mean, it doesn't feel like it's yours. You can't manipulate it and alter it and shape and mold it according to your will. Then it's probably not yours. You know what I mean? Or if it doesn't react the way that your mind is, you know, it's not responding the way it's supposed to respond. It's not yours. So, you know, close yourself off. Like, all right, it ain't mine. So just start thinking about, you know, something that is yours. You know what I mean? Stop giving it any thought and attention and energy if you choose to do so. So there you go. Profoundly dignified. Seems like balance is truly what I have a hard time with. I mean, that's what religion does. This is why we all have this internal thing, because we have been trained to not deal with that. A lot of us are dealing with things for the first time. A lot of us went through our whole childhood, or maybe, you know, some of our adulthood, not knowing anything about this, trying to give everything over to God. Oh, you know, let go, let God, right? Instead of truly dealing with what we are faced with and becoming one with that sinister energy as well as that angelic energy, right? To be able to pull from that solar force, right? But we're not taught how to do that. We're just taught to give our energy away and put money in the bucket, right? It's all about money. So we already know, you know, that 501c3. It's all about that 501c3 for those who understand the lingo, right? All right. So that's why, you know, we were never even supposed to arrive at this way of thinking. You know, if the powers that be had their way, we wouldn't even be having this conversation, right? Okay. What's up, Loretta's Creative Empowerment? What's the deal? So I think y'all get it. Hopefully. So definitely, you already know. Definitely check out the website. I will be directing more energy towards that, more so than the YouTube. Because of course, you know, as an entrepreneur, you know, as a business person, we all strive to have our own. You know what I mean? So I have to build up my own, you know, so I can carry that with me for the remainder of my life, and I can pass it on, all that wonderful stuff, right? So we land the seeds, we land the foundation. You know what I mean? So asharenu.com, definitely check out the website if you haven't already. If you want to join the website, you know what I mean, $5 a month gives you access to all the content. Let's see what else we got going on. Like I said, you know, we're definitely going to be coming with higher what is it called, visuals, higher quality visuals, higher resolution, you know. So we definitely got plans in the works. I definitely want to, you know, do more in-depth presentations. So I definitely, on the website, I'm definitely going to be, you know, have unique private presentations concerning the occult, you know, things that I really don't want to talk about publicly because, again, YouTube has restrictions. There are just certain things that if you speak about, then you're going to have problems, and I just don't want to deal with that, nor should I have to. When you have your own platform, and you can speak how you want to speak. So that's the whole thing. So just building up the way I can be myself. I don't have to alter who I am because I don't want to get my channel deleted and flagged and all this crazy stuff that's going on. All this wildness, but nonetheless. So we building up our own. So we ain't got to, so if the YouTube goes away, we still good. That's the whole point. So if any time, for whatever reason, remember YouTube doesn't need a reason. Your channel is here one day, it can be gone the next day. So if for whatever reason, you know, the YouTube was to ever disappear, y'all can still get in contact with me. That's the whole point. As opposed to the YouTube has disappeared now and everything is gone, right? So instead of having to go through that, we're just building up, you know, spreading the love. So definitely, you know, the Instagram, the Facebook group, all these things, you know, we spreading the love. So that's what it is, you know, for those of you who want to know what's going on, what I've been up to, you know, we're just working. You know, I mean, I'm definitely starting to fast. It's my first day fasting today. I'm starting to fast. You know, I'm gonna try to. The goal is to at least go 7 day, a little 7 day fast. If I'm feeling strong, 14 days. If I'm feeling strong, I'll finish the whole month of September. So we're gonna take it day by day. So definitely, you know, I gotta step it up. Like I got a lot of books. I have a lot of information. Like this occult shit. I'm telling y'all, it is a lot of information. This is a lot of documentation. You know what I mean? And I'm doing my best to be as accurate as possible. Keep saying it. I no longer want to just give y'all concepts without any grounding. So I'm giving y'all people to look up. I'm giving you books to read. I'm giving you philosophies to study so that it can go beyond me and you can formulate your own opinions. That's my whole thing. I'm just a medium. Just here to convey the information and you piece it together. So that's the whole thing. You know, for those who may not know. So that's why we do what we do. We're gonna continue to do what we do. So that's what it is. Definitely love and light your way as well. So we're gonna finish up this water. We're gonna get up out of here. You know, if anything comes to my mind, I definitely will vocalize it. If that's a word, vocalize. Yeah, there we go. You know, you see, it's like I be slipping in between worlds. Like you notice when if I stutter, I be slipping in between worlds. You know, because I got, as we all do, we got many personalities. They be fucking battling. You know, trying to get attention. You know, be battling for camera time and shit. You know, if that even makes sense. For example, you know, it'd be something I'm like, maybe I shouldn't say that, you know, but then I say it anyway. Because I felt like it, you know, it should be said. Because a lot of information I'm looking up is not even on the internet. So it's like I'm literally putting a lot of information on the internet that just was not on the internet. So that's why I feel like I feel like I'm taking a step further. I'm doing more than just making videos trying to pump myself up. I'm actually adding information to the internet that was not there before. You know what I mean? Talking about things that nobody else would talk about, would ever talk about, you know. Because they have a certain agenda that they're trying to promote. So it's not, you know, it doesn't do good for them to speak about certain things. Versus, you know, when you keep it pure, you ain't got to worry about all that. So that's why we keep it pure. That's why I'm not a pastor of a church. You know, I could be, right? As you know, clearly. You know what I mean? If I wanted to start my own organization somewhere, I could. But that's not the point. It's not the point. You know, that's what I said. You know, some people utilize dark energy in many ways, right? Some people create cults. And some people just reveal those mysteries, right? I'm like, yo, let everybody be individuals. That's my whole thing. My whole thing is, it's not about nobody following nobody. It's about everybody being an individual. Everybody being a unique source of light. That's all it is. So I encourage everybody to cultivate their uniqueness. That's what it's all about. Cultivate what makes you unique. That's what will make you successful. And of course, we can talk about success. The practicality, the money magic, right? So we go really make this holistic. Let's talk about the money magic. Let's not leave that out. We've been talking about all this other stuff. Let's talk about the money magic. You know, let's talk about, you know, that earth magic, that serpentine, that sex magic that I brought up before, that I didn't really elaborate on besides mentioning the real society. But this is what I'm talking about. That soul force that we tap into, that dark energy, that dark magic, that real energy taps you into your soul force. That kundalini taps you into the soul force. That's, that's the purpose. That soul force purifies you through the fire. Excuse me, you know. This water is crazy. The soul force purifies you. Purification through the flame. Right? But we're gonna talk about the money magic. Let me just get to the destination. I'm gonna sit down over here. Just keeping myself moving around. You know, I just got way too much. I got way too much energy. You know, when you fast, you just got way too much energy. I got way too much energy. Got way too much energy, you know. My thoughts are starting to get very cardinal, if y'all understand what I mean. I'm starting to have cardinal thoughts, which is, you know, something that I have on a daily basis. You know, as we all do. As we all do. Anyway, let's get to it though. Money magic. What does all this have to do with money magic? You know, getting your bread up. If we truly cultivate our individuality, then we don't have money problems. We have money problems because we have not been cultivating our individuality. Because again, we are not taught to do so. We are taught to be the collective and not the individual. We are in the age of the individual. You must cultivate your individuality, your uniqueness, your unique signature. It does not matter what you do as a profession. What makes you rich is being yourself, developing your own individual style. You cannot mimic and be successful. It does not matter how much you admire a person. We cannot mimic and be successful. We must cultivate our individuality. It is through the cultivation of the individuality that success is found. Cultivation of the individuality is where heaven is found. If we try to mimic something that is not uniquely ours to begin with, it will never manifest. Just like I was saying earlier, if it is not coming from within you, if it is not coming from your internal source, if you are to be something that you are not, this world teaches you that you can be anything you want, but you can't. You are built to be who you are. You can't be anyone else. We know this, right? This is basic shit. This is light work. But, you know, sometimes it needs to be reiterated. Cultivate your individuality. Cultivate your soul, as I was saying before. Your soul may just want to get high and have that internal peace versus working your whole life trying to accumulate wealth but never being at peace. You spent your whole life accumulating wealth and you had no peace because you were accumulating wealth, versus you were not accumulating wealth. All your money was going to drugs, but you were always peaceful. Who is to say who was right and who was wrong? One person sacrificed happiness for wealth. and one person sacrificed wealth for happiness. Who's to say who's right, who's wrong? We live in a parallel universe where both of them can be right. And that's where I'm getting at. Because you can have happiness and wealth. So I'm not trying to make a distinction between you can't be happy and wealthy, because you can. But the happiness will not come from the wealth. It will come from the cultivation of the individuality. That creates the wealth, so that your source of happiness is not the money, it is the individuality that has been cultivated. The seed that has now blossomed into a plant. Something beautiful. Right? Something life-giving and life-sustaining. That's the difference. So, all of my people out there who are trying to build wealth, the wealth will not be the source of your happiness. It is the cultivation of your individuality that gives you wealth, that gives you success, that gives you happiness, that gives you whatever you desire in this world. It's through the cultivation of your individuality, which allows you to manifest your true will. The cultivation of the individuality allows you to manifest your true will. And it is through the manifestation of your true will that your individuality is manifested. Because this is the true reality. We know that we are in Maya. We know that we are in an illusion, so that you can be whatever you want here. That's the purpose. So the true state of perfection, because everybody's trying to chase perfection, right? Everybody's chasing perfection. People want a perfect face. People want a perfect body. People want a perfect bank account, right? People are chasing perfection. But true perfection is nothingness. I'll say it again. True perfection is nothingness. Because all creations are modifications in a temporary universe. The only true reality is the infinite reality of the individual. That is the only true reality. In other words, what we do here physically does not matter. See, this is, again, the difference between the occultist and the one who practices esoteric mysticism. See, the esoteric mystic wants love and light for everyone, in all things, in all people, plants, and animals included. Nothing wrong with it. You know, to each his own. So again, this is not to wage war. The only reason I'm saying this versus this, that's just the terminology we use. But that's not necessarily the energy that I'm coming in. Like it's a them versus us. There is no them, there is no us. It is just an I. Not an I as in me, but an I as an individual. We are done creating groups. We are done creating religions. We are here to craft the individual now. We are not here to start a new religion. We are not here to do anything that, you know, religious people have done in the past. We are here to cultivate the individual. We are our own temples. You don't build a temple. The temple is already built. We must cultivate the temple. We must cultivate our bodies. The body is already built. We must cultivate it. We must nourish it. The mind is already in existence. We must cultivate it. We must nourish it. That's the science. That's what the occultist does. The occultist isn't walking around in an illusion. The occultist embraces reality. That's the difference between the person and, oh, I want world peace, which they know damn well will never happen. Because it never has been world peace. That has never been a reality on this planet. And I'm not even going to say that it can't happen. That's not the purpose of why we are here. That is not the purpose of life. World peace is not the purpose of life. Because you don't have peace in the animal kingdom. There's animals eating each other right fucking now as we speak. Killing shit. Bloody fingers and teeth, all that gore. Somebody just got shot right the fuck now. Some wicked shit is happening right now. It is what it is, though. When you leave the emotion out of it, you can understand. So the cultivation of the individual is the purpose. Cultivate the mind, cultivate the temple, cultivate the body. That is our purpose. We are here to cultivate ourselves, not to be selfish, but to be selfish. If you get it, not to be selfish, but to be selfish. Not to be arrogant, but to be compassionate to self. Not to build your ego, but to be compassionate to yourself. Everybody's applying compassion to the world, but hard on themselves. Are you compassionate to yourself? Give yourself compassion. Give yourself love. That love and light that you want for the world, that world peace, give it to yourself. Give yourself world peace. Create world peace on your planet. That is a possibility versus world peace that you can go your whole life fighting for it and it doesn't come to be. Imagine how many people died fighting for world peace, a reality that never existed. It is what it is. It's not to say that they were right, wrong, good or bad. They should have did it, shouldn't have did it. It just is what it is. But we are in the times where when it's time for us to depart, we would have cultivated the individual. We may not have churches. We may not have masjids. We may not have temples that were built. We may not even have money in our pockets. But we would have cultivated the self, and we are able to transcend the physical reality and retain our memory, truly become timeless beings. And it's not that we're not, but it's just the memory of a timeless nature that allows you to cultivate your individuality. You cannot cultivate your individuality without having a soul connection. It is the soul that purifies the individual from the wickedness of the world. Your soul keeps you pure from the wickedness of the world. How do you stay pure? Connect with your soul. How do you stay wicked? Disconnect from your soul. Because the difference is, the same act can be committed, but make you feel different. What do I mean? Through the cultivation of your individuality, you may go through things very dark, very sinister. For the purpose of spiritual insight. So everything that you went through was worth it because it allows you to break through and have spiritual insight, develop your psychic abilities. So all that hardship and that war that you went through was necessary because it gave you benefit. So you don't look at these things as something negative. Even if it was negative, you don't view it as negative because you benefited from it. You were able to see beyond how it made you feel or what was, going on in the moment. You were able to look past it and truly cultivate your individuality. And through the cultivation of the individuality, you were able to transcend the human experience altogether. See, yeah, now we're going way far out now. Just trying to hit as many subjects as possible while we're here, right? So we may not have anything when it is time for us to depart, but the wisdom that we have gained for ourselves, which is truly the best gift that you can give yourself. Wisdom, know thyself. That is truly the best gift you can give to yourself. Not money, but wisdom, which will help you acquire money and wealth, but it will not be the source of your happiness. So if you can understand that concept, you are definitely 100% ahead of the race when it comes to everybody else. Because everybody else is not happy because they don't have money. So they work hard trying to accumulate the things that they don't have. And they spend their whole lives working to work towards something that was never truly theirs to begin with. Which is, you can say however you want to call it. whatever you want to call it, however you want to define it, versus someone who made the sacrifice for themselves, for their own individuality, and truly came into the knowledge of themselves. And from there, they found peace, even if they had no money in their pocket. They found peace with nothingness. They found the perfection in the nothingness. And at that point, anything is possible. At that point, you can transcend destiny and fate. Because at that point, you have became who you always was. But you have just reached that realization. Because as we grow in consciousness, the body changes as we evolve. Because we start to feed the body different foods. As we become more conscious, we start to live a different lifestyle. We start to feed the body different foods, physically, mentally, and spiritually, and we begin to look different. All right? We begin to reflect that which we put into our body. All right? So you can truly look however you want to look. You just got to ask yourself, what am I feeding myself physically, mentally, and spiritually? Because that determines how I look physically, how I think mentally, what I am drawn to on a spiritual level. All those things are based on who you are and how much of yourself you have discovered and how much of yourself you have accepted. Have you truly accepted yourself? You may know who you are, but have you accepted yourself? Have you accepted your soul age, not your physical age, your soul age? Your soul age is timeless. Can you truly accept the fact that you have been here in a timeless state? Because there truly is no beginning, no ending. For those who can even conceive infinity, infinity is just no beginning, no ending. Can you truly conceive that we have been here forever? Just in various forms, and we will continue to be here forever in various forms. This is just one form of the many. Maybe that's a little bit too deep, right? We're going way out. But let's get back to these comments, you know. We're going all over the place. All right, Anthony, with all this conscious community beef going on, I say you're the best in the game. Well, you know, I understand where you're coming from. Because we do see that, we see like, this is, you know, it's not what we thought it was. So a lot of people are hurt over that. A lot of people are hurt that, like, man, that shit wasn't what I thought it was. I came into the community, thought it was about consciousness. Motherfuckers is just at war with each other. There's truly no unity and no peace. What the fuck have I walked into? So, you know, but you know, I may be the only one who is unbiased when it comes to all this. You know what I mean? I don't have a bias. You know what I mean? I don't have favorites. You see, I'm not shouting out people's names and all that. So, you know what I mean? Keep my distance. Because it's about the individuality, right? Fuck the community, it's about the individual. Cultivate the individual and the community will be just fine. A community of 10 cultivated minds is better and more powerful than 100 uncultivated minds. 1,000 uncultivated minds, 100,000 uncultivated minds, 1,000,000 uncultivated minds. Only 10 cultivated minds can be more powerful than 1,000,000 uncultivated minds. Truly, the power of the mind is infinite. All right. Let me see. I'm not a fighter, but sometimes you gotta beat somebody's ass. Nah, you are a fighter. You gotta beat ass every day. I don't know what you talking about. What you mean sometimes? I know I have to fight every fucking day just to remain conscious. Motherfucker, I know I make this shit look easy. I know I make this shit look easy. I make this shit look fly. But this is every, you know what I mean? Behind closed doors. You know what I mean? It's tears that have been shed. Tears being shed. Blood has been shed. Hands is dirty. Like, you know what I mean? Like, trust me. Every day is a struggle, especially when you have an alternative way of thinking. You literally have to pull from yourself. You have to motivate yourself. The external reality may seem as if it is against you, and the only thing you have is yourself. You may feel like that at times. All you have is your soul force. But truly, is that not all you need but your soul force, right? Is that truly not all you need? And through that soul force, you conquer on a daily basis. You know what I mean? So we at this on a daily basis. All right. So to create anything outward, Brianna is saying to create anything outward is to have everything grounded in your inner world. Well, we are creators, whether you are grounded or not. So let's just put that into context. Creation is not based on your level of understanding, because people are creating their realities whether they know it or not, whether they can verbalize what they are doing or not. It's still going on. So we create because we are creators by nature. However, we can have more specific and more direct creations as we cultivate our minds, that inner reality. So when you cultivate your inner reality, you have more specific and more direct and more synchronistic results, more miracles, more power. But nonetheless, we are creators, regardless of your power level. All what you're doing is you're raising up the bar of your creation. So that's all you're doing. All right. SVM. So if I feed myself fitness stuff, I get in shape quicker. Since you say your body changes based on what you feed yourself, it's more so just understanding how the body works. To understand that our concept of fitness is a creation. Our concept of fitness is you got to hit the gym every day. You got to take these proteins. You know what I mean? It's a whole system of how to be fit in America. But, you know, that is a decision versus a reality, because there are people who don't do anything like that, but are fitter than those who hit the gym every day because they have a better internal diet, physically, mentally, and spiritually. So instead of thinking about fitness, you're more so just thinking more natural. Like, all I gotta do is give the body natural energy, and it does what it needs to do for itself. You don't need to do all this extra stuff. The only reason we gotta do all this extra stuff is because we are destroying our bodies. That's why we have to do all this extra shit. Hit the gym and go hard, like I was talking about earlier. We have to do that just to counterbalance the destructiveness of our lifestyle. Not anybody's individual fault. That's just what has been, it's in the DNA. You know what I mean? It's just in our DNA. We've been through a lot. For those who just don't know, right? We've been, it's a lot that's been going on for, these generations. So that's what it is. So you don't think about fitness, you think more natural, period. The more natural you think, the more natural you become. And you start to see how natural the body is when it comes to the process that the body takes to keep you fit. We're like, damn, I really don't have to hit the gym all crazy like I think I do. I don't have to take all these supplements and all that. I just need to take in the right foods, physically, spiritually, mentally, and everything else will work itself out. You know what I mean? So walk in the park after that, but it's a daily thing. It's an everyday struggle. All right. Yeah, you know what I mean, Afro Pit. What's up, MC Fly? what's up, Rod L? Yeah, definitely today is definitely powerful. You know, for those who are in tune, for those who understand the waves and the portals that have been opened. So definitely, I encourage everybody to pull from this energy source. Don't just listen to the video, do something. Pull from this energy that you have available, that is available to you, in other words. Pull the energy down and utilize it physically. Pull down this cosmic energy and direct it into some type of physical manifestation. You know, oh, that reminds me. This is what sparked me to make this video in the first place. Besides all the things that I've been talking about. But just today. Like today, you know, I just went to the market. Regular shit. Regular shit. But some irregular things occurred. Anyway. What do I mean? Alright, yeah, so today I went to the market, picked up a couple items. You know. I'm with the homie. Me and the homie. Go to the market, pick up a couple things. Regular shit. So we go to the self-checkout. We go to the self-checkout. We doing a self-checkout. It's giving us a hard time. Do you know, when it gives you a hard time, then they pretty much call somebody to help you, assistance. So it said, assistance on the way, assistance on the way, assistance on the way. And I'm like, oh man, what the fuck is going on? Anyway, so this nice woman comes along, you know, does her magic, pushes her buttons, puts in her passcodes, does what she does. We're able to check everything out. So she comes back, because I asked her, I'm like, okay, we actually need some cases of water as well. I'm like, all right, we need some cases of water. Let me get 3 of those. So she's like, you want the 24 pack or the 32 pack? I'm like, give me the motherfucking 32 pack. She was like, one is $3.33. 333. You can get one for $3.33, or you can get 3 for $10. I'm like, all right, give me that 3 for 10. You know, why not? So she's like, all right. So, you know, so you had to type all this shit in the computer. And as she's doing this, she makes the comment. She's like, oh, I really feel close to you guys. And the homie, he took it one way and I took it another way. I'm just giving you an example how one situation can cause 2 different reactions. So she made that response, a worker. She's like, oh, I feel kind of close to you guys. So the homie said, he like, oh, my bad. I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, I wasn't trying to be all up on you like that. Then she's like, no, I don't mean it in that way. Now I'm like, oh, I try to keep a straight face. I try to keep a straight face. But y'all know, you know, I can't even tell the story without a straight face. Because, you know, when my mind clicked, I'm like, wait a minute, I know what she means. So anyway, it's a regular story. It's nothing special. But anyway, she was like, oh, I feel kind of close to you guys. You're like, no, man. You're like, no, my bad. She's like, no, not that way. I'm like, oh, you mean this way? So should I tell the story? Should I tell the story? Yeah. Whatever, I'll tell it. Y'all take from it whatever you want. Just don't judge. I'm just giving y'all some real shit. Anyway. So I'm like, oh, like, I know what she's talking about. So I touched her inappropriately. Forgive me. I touched her inappropriately. I'm like, oh, I know what you mean. I touched her inappropriately, meaning you shouldn't be touching a worker this way. I touched her inappropriately because I saw the sexual innuendo on what she was saying. See, this is essentially part of being a man anyway. You got to be able to notice those innuendos that women send at you. They're not gonna be direct. They be anyway. Don't judge. So I touched her inappropriately because I understood the energy allowed me to do that. I'll say that the energy, it's not me invading nobody's space. The energy allowed me. Her energy was open enough. I'm like, oh, I know what you mean. So I touched her inappropriately. Then she was like, oh, yeah, we really getting in close now. Positive response. Look, I'm trying to keep a straight face. But this is the type of shit. So I touched her inappropriately. She was like, yep. She was like, yeah, now we're really close. I'm like, oh. I'm like, look at this little freak right here. Anyway, y'all get the point. You know, Tuesday, the day of Mars, sexual energy, Scorpio energy. Anyway, thank you for the powerful download. No problem, Rael. I have yet to see someone lean and jacked from no type of exercise. Wow. You know, because who's really living that life? There's very, 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 very few people who are really living that life. Very, very few people. Very, very few people. That's why you don't see them, because you probably wouldn't see them. Like, how often do you see, you know, little people? You don't see them too often. They exist. How often do you see, you know, albinos? They exist. You don't really see them that often, though. So, just saying, just because you've never seen it, it's a reason why you haven't seen it, because it is truly a rarity. You know, it's like seeing a Super Saiyan. All right. What can we do to utilize the energy? That's what I've been talking about the whole video, bro. I guess you may have came in a little bit later. But basically what I'm saying is, if you did come in later, you have to personalize and be an individual. In other words, this is energy. We were talking about Aretha Franklin. Now that she has passed along, the energy that was contained within her, that soul force that was contained within her body, has now been released. That release has opened up a portal. So there's cosmic energy available to us all. In order for you to pull down cosmic energy, this is why you create altars. This is why you chant mantras. This is why you go deep into your dreams and do dream work. This is why you work with herbs. This is why you practice astrology. This is why you practice alchemy. This is why you practice divination. So you like, how do you utilize it? It's up to you. You choose your form of earth magic. You choose your form of divination. For some people, it may be the tarot. For other people, they may want to use runes. Other people may want to use yoga. It's just whatever form of earth magic, whatever form of natural magic, whatever form of divination that you want to use is up to you. You use whatever form of earth magic you see fit, whatever resonates with you. So there is no one way. You tap in the way you see fit, based on the way you work, based on the way that you were built, based on your DNA, based on the things that you are magnetically drawn to anyway. So there you go. So I think, you know, so there y'all go. You have now, you know, entered into the craziness of my mind. My mind is very cardinal. You know I'm very, very, I'm not even gonna call myself spiritual. I don't consider myself spiritual. I'm a very soulful person, very soulful. I'm full of soul. And that soul can definitely take on cardinal expressions at times. But that's just a Scorpio, you know. Not that I'm limited to that experience, but I embrace it because it shows me that spiritual insight can be pulled out of cardinal experiences, which is why I talk about that as well. Because, you know, the aspects of the Scorpio, just realize, it helps you realize that even the most cardinal acts are rooted in spirituality. You know, hopefully y'all understand that. Man or woman in their most primitive form still utilizes magic and science and mathematics. In your most meaning, that means even if you were living somewhere in a fucking cave, or even if you were somewhere standing on a fucking corner, Even that drug addict on the corner still utilizes a form of magic. How? Because how in the fuck do you become an addict and support your habit without a magical source? Most people don't even understand, like, yo, how is this drug addict been living on the streets for a whole decade and still here? That's magic. Man and woman in their most primitive form still use magic. That is an actual fact. So even in our ignorance, we are magical beings. That's why, I know it's windy, excuse the wind. That's why people in the underworld were able to rise to prominence. And all, not just the underworld, but all worlds. But anyway, y'all know. Hopefully, you know, even the most cardinal acts are magical. So, if you have the mind, let's just say, if you are a person that's already love sex anyway, you consider yourself a sex addict. You may not consider yourself a sex addict. Well, somebody else may consider you a sex addict. You are already in that field. The problem isn't that you like sex. The problem is you need to be a scientist while engaging in those cardinal acts so that you can gain some type of spiritual insight. The difference between the number 2 and the 11, the double ones, right? That's the difference. Going through emotional turmoil for spiritual insight versus you just going through it because that's what you feel you got to go through. For example, and this is another concept. The concept is there's 2 types of love. There's 2 types of love. There's a traditional love, then there's a soul love. In other words, there's a love of the true will, versus the humanly love. See, how do I put this? It was thought back in the day that you had to release yourself from love, from humanly love, to be a spiritual being. If you watch the movie Star Wars, you will see that the Jedi Masters, none of them were in love because they looked down upon humanly love, right? They're like, you can't be a Jedi Master and be in love because it's a weakness. Love, humanly love, was viewed as a weakness to those who were spiritually astute in their understanding. So their love was the love of the true will versus the love of, like, the love between 2 human beings. You can just say puppy love, right? The difference between puppy love and the mature love. The mature love is the love of the true will versus trying to make somebody else happy. So this was a mindset. But if we also watch Star Wars, Darth Vader, or Anakin, who tapped into the dark side, rewatch Star Wars after watching this video, and you can truly understand the dark side. It's all laid out, but now you got the spiritual insight so you can watch the series and understand. Darth Vader tapped into the dark side because he was trying to save his family, something that the Jedi Masters looked down upon. Anakin was willing to go to the dark side to save his family, to save his mother, to save his wife, to save his child. But his willingness to go to the dark side ultimately allowed him to be manipulated by the dark side. Then the dark side took control over his mind. Because of his willingness to do what's necessary to save his family. Pretty much what we can say, any man out here would do the same. Like, shit, if there's a difference between feeding my family and not, I'm going right into the underworld, face first. If that's what I had to do. I'm pretty sure any man, like, yo, I'm going to do whatever I can do to feed my family. So that's essentially what the mindset of Anakin. I'm going to do whatever I can do to save my mother. I'm going to do whatever I can do to save my wife. That was his mentality. Everybody else looked down upon him. Oh, he's still worried about his moms. You know what I mean? He ain't ready to sit on the seat of the throne. So he was never accepted as a Jedi Master, although he passed his initiation. Anakin passed his initiation, but he was never accepted as a Jedi Master because he still had a love for his mother. And he also was accepting humanly mundane love, which everybody else looked down upon. But because he was willing to go to the dark side and went through the dark side, when he was slain by his son, Luke Skywalker, when Luke Skywalker slayed Darth Vader came out of that darkness and he realized who he really was before he died. And that's the true awakening from the dark to the light. The transmutation of the energy, the transference from the dark to the light. So Anakin, or Darth Vader, was not wrong for embracing the dark and being manipulated by it. And as I said, this energy can consume you if you allow it. That's why study Star Wars. If you truly want to understand how dark energy works, study Star Wars. It's all about this, you know what I mean? The dark side, the Sith Lords, so on and so forth. The dark side of the tree of life, the clip off. I may need to do a whole video about the clip off. But nonetheless, for those who even know what that is. You know, I was supposed to do a video about it, but it's just so much information, you know? You gotta lay the foundation before you start just expressing all these concepts. If you don't even know what the tree of life is, you're not gonna understand the Kabbalah. Not the Kabbalah, the clip off. If you don't understand the light, you're not gonna understand the dark. Anyway, so the reason I brought all that up is because not only is it a tool to study the dark side, if you don't truly understand the dark side, you can watch Star Wars from 1 to 6. Watch the whole series. I know, you know, they got 7. They came out with more. But, you know, you can watch the first 3. You can watch however. But study it with spiritual insight. Don't watch it like a fan. Study it spiritually, from spiritual insight. And you can extract the wisdom that is contained within the movie. Anyway, because it is based on actual fact, even though it is being fictionally displayed on screen, it's still based in truth. So there it is, you know. But like I was saying, you know, I'm not afraid to share my cardinal experiences because I still have them. I still have cardinal experiences. I don't be thinking about it, but sometimes I do think about it. But, so this, see, it's like every time I be explaining something, something else is popping in my mind. Because somebody asked me earlier about how to seduce. And my response is just simply, what I have noticed in my journey, shout out to Infinite Waters, right? What I have noticed in my journey is, it's not even about what you like and trying to connect with people that like the same things that you like, per se. It's more about, let's just say, if you have a perverted mind, then the perfect partner for you will be somebody else who has a perverted mind, versus somebody who may like the same acts as you. Let me explain that in a different way. Let me use more cardinal terms. So let me just go over here. Let me use more cardinal terms so that we can understand. For example, if you are a man and you enjoy anal sex, instead of looking for a woman who also enjoys anal sex, you would just look for a woman who has a perverted mind just like you. Whether or not she is thinking about anal sex is irrelevant. The fact that she has a perverted mind is the important part, because if she has a perverted mind, like you have a perverted mind, you guys can start to conduct magical rituals by having a pervasive mind. So you guys can actually help each other tap into experiences that you otherwise would not have experienced by yourself. Hopefully, that makes sense. Let me put it this way, and I know, again, apologies for the wind. You know, when you look outside and you look at it looks beautiful outside. You know, does it look like it's a windy day today? Look at the sun. Anyway, it don't look like it's windy, so I didn't know it would be windy today. But you know, otherwise I just probably would have stayed back at the house and just did the video, but the energy would have been completely different. So this is why we out here, you know, just to keep things flowing and moving. But let me get back to the point, because I know I'm using such extreme examples, but how else, you know, should I make my point but speaking directly, right? Anyway, let us continue. This is what I'm saying. Because the reason I use an example at the market, that's what I'm talking about. The example of the woman, that's why I said the example of the woman. That woman represented a woman with a perverted mind. That's what she represented. So, with my fucking perverted mind, may not have been thinking perverted thoughts at that particular time, but nonetheless, my mind is perverted. It is what it is. I just admit it while everybody else deny it. I will admit it. But again, the most cardinal desires are still rooted in spirituality. So I don't say it as in I'm just walking around here like a fucking snake on my belly. But when it comes to my mind, I tend to go far out in my imagination, because that's just what we do. Anyway, I use the example of the woman at the market because this represents a woman with a perverted mind, and I had a perverted mind, because why am I touching her inappropriately? Why is she making the comments she's making? Why is she accepting my perverted touches and fucking smiling at me? She's supposed to be doing her fucking job. But no, she wanna hang, you know, with some, you know, she wanna hang where the energy is vibrant. I'm just using metaphors now. But this is where I'm getting at. It's situations like that that we may overlook because we're trying to accomplish certain goals. We may be trying to accomplish certain goals, overlooking the magic of the now. So the fact that I was able to get my rocks off in the fucking supermarket, not even thinking about that, not going into the supermarket like chanting a mantra, I wasn't doing none of that. Having, you know, my nostrils, I wasn't doing any of that. This shit's happened any goddamn way. So this was definitely the furthest thing away from my mind, but it happened anyway. And the reason I embrace it is because I be thinking about this shit all the time, in terms of, I'm like, shit, I wish it would happen. I walk up into a fucking market and one of these goddamn workers allow me to fondle their ass. Who the fuck doesn't want to do that? Especially if you are drawn to the woman. Anyway, I'm just saying what everybody thinks, but they just not gonna say it. So if this seems kind of perverse, trust me, I'm not the only one that thinks like this anyway. So I think about these things anyway. So the fact that it actually happened, even when I was not thinking about it, is a reflection that my mind already exists in this realm anyway. So the fact that it happened was like, all right, this is just how I think anyway. It just, that was the moment that allowed me to like, okay, today is a good day. I got to fucking fondle a worker. I'm doing something that you normally, you know what I mean? Anyway. It's probably, I know this is all over the place. Anyway, Forgive my fucking ignorance. But you know, we combining the ignorance with the spiritual insight. Yeah, the clip off is a whole nother, man. Clip off it's a whole nother thing. Like, I like talking about dark energy, but I just always caution people, because again, I know that it can get pretty crazy. Which you know, I mean, I'm always working with this dark energy, so when things like that happen, I can't be surprised. I'm like, damn, I did just do that yesterday, or I did just do this. So I'm not surprised that these things are happening. When you're putting in the work, you get results, right? You get results when you put in the work, even if you don't expect the result to happen at that particular time. So anyway, and again, even the most cardinal thoughts and acts can be spiritual and provide spiritual insight. Remember, I did a video called, back in the day, what was the video called? I did a video called How Porn Leads to Enlightenment. Oh, they fucking hate that video. Fucking hate it. But it is what it is. It was the most truthful video. But just me bridging enlightenment with porn threw people off. And that's what I was talking about, the esotericism versus the occultism. The esoteric people are like, yo, enlightenment and porn, that does not go together. Or enlightenment and all what's some type of the underworld, like that shit don't match in their eyes. But the occultist is like, yo, this is actually very interesting. It is a correspondence with this energy and that energy. Let's actually, you know, see where this leads. Just, you know, we just not so quick to dismiss things. So I wasn't so quick to dismiss porn as something that's something that just you just, well, all you do is jack your fucking dick off and you waste energy. Never looked at it that way. I looked at it as erotic art that helps tap into the Kundalini force or the soul force. You tap into that soul force when you watch porn. Remember, because I know if you ever watch porn, you got a perverted mind. But we live in a perverted society, so I don't say that as if something wrong with you having a perverted mind. This is just the society we're in. It's in the DNA. You cannot be a man and a woman takes her clothes off right in front of you and not be attracted to her curves. There's no way for you not to be attracted to that unless you are not attracted to women or women. That's the only way that you're not going to receive a hard-on if a woman just undresses in front of you, even if you may not necessarily be attracted to her in that fashion. Like, she may be a big girl. You may not be into big girls. But once she pull out, you know, those breasts and those curves, it's a different story. You're like, wait a minute, I may be able to work with this. Shit changes. Once you start viewing that erotic art, it puts your mind in a different state of consciousness, which allows you to look beyond illusions. The illusion is, I like skinny girls. The reality is, I like women. And if a woman gets undressed in front of me and allows me to enter into her, it is going down. That's the reality versus I have a type. You can say that all day, whether you're a man or woman. But there are always exceptions to your type, and you know that. You may like, for a woman, you may like tall men. But it may be a short dude that just makes you just light up. It's contrary to what you may be used to, but you can't deny how it makes you feel. So you may allow that short motherfucker to have a nice night with you because that person makes you feel a certain type of way. It's just life. People don't talk about this, but we know fucking everybody has a one-night stand at some point. Everybody's not saints, you know. Everybody want to pretend nowadays, but I'm telling you the fucking truth. You know. Whether you like it or not, motherfucker. And I'm not cussing at the viewers. just cussing out the people that watch the video that don't, you know, interact. You know, they just watch the video and click off. I'm talking about you motherfuckers who just don't add on to anything. You just watching, you just viewing it just for the sake of it, not because it does anything for you. You just want to see what's being said. Anyway, we're just keeping it real, right? All right, so we pretty much at 15%. You know, so we're gonna get out of here shortly. I just had to give y'all the real, as usual, but take it a step further. We a lot more primitive, primordial, cardinal, but spiritual at the same time. The perfect fusion. Is it not the perfect fusion? That's why the Scorpio represents cardinal lust, but it also represents the mystic waters that we not understand, right? Scorpios are said to be sex fiends, but Scorpio is also the sign of mysticism as well. So we see it just in the sign of the Scorpio. You see sex and mysticism, one or the occult, the 8th house, the underworld. You see these energies already being fused together, right? So you know what I mean? It is what it is. If you can see the correspondences, then you know it's real. You know, but if you choose to look over the aspects of science and mathematics that may make you feel a little uncomfortable, then you know you're missing out. It ain't about how it make you feel. It's about making the uncomfortable comfortable. All right? Is that not the point? Let me see. Afro. I bought a porn magazine for my boyfriend, and the cash register lady was low-key mad at me. I thought the porn was normal, but I guess it's not. No, it's not. It's not that people don't watch it. Everybody watches it in their leisure. But they feel like they have to pretend. They can't express that. They can't say, who's walking up like, yo, I just saw this porno, yo, and I saw the ass on this bitch. Who's starting a conversation like that? Besides dudes. So let me not say that, because dudes will start off a conversation like that because that's what we do. So let's just say a woman. You don't expect a woman to walk up to a group of dudes like, yo, I just saw this porno, like the ass on this bitch. Coming from a woman is quite weird. But those men will be all ears. They're not gonna like, yo, I can't listen to this conversation. Or would they stand there like this? Continue. What? Continue. Describe more detail. Exactly, right? Exactly. You gonna stand there and fucking listen. It may be a group of dudes, women like, these cardinal motherfuckers ain't talking about nothing. But let it be a group of women talking about some shit. As they say, girl talk, right? Whole different story. Anyway, I know this is old, but I wonder about the Devil's Gate Dam. Does this relate to the subject you were talking about? If you see a connection, then yes. Is there a connection? Yes. Will I talk about the connection? I'm not going to talk about it. But yes, there is a connection. So for you to even ask that question, that means you must know something, right? You must know that there's some type of truth to what's being said, right? So yeah, you on the right track. Dragonfire, you on the right track, bro. Definitely. Devil's Gate definitely has an association with Aleister Crowley, because he called Devil's Gate Down one of the 7 gateways to hell. See, I wasn't even going in that direction, but you see, since it was brought up, Devil's Gate Down was deemed one of the 7 gateways to hell. So they conducted rituals, specifically sex rituals, in Devil's Gate Dam. So when I explore Devil's Gate Dam and you go into the back of the fucking dam, you realize that, yo, this energy is pretty fucking heavy, because there's been all type of bloody, lusty shit going on in those tunnels. As it should be. Because remember, the root chakra of the earth is in California. Right? Anyway, y'all, I guess that probably wouldn't make sense. but it is a volcano. The root chakra of the earth is a volcano in California. The root chakra of the earth is a volcano in California. This is why California, if you look at California, a lot of the mountains, you got like places like Mount Diablo. And places in California have a lot of Spanish devilish names for mountains and places. Devil's this, devil's that, right? Satan's this, Satan's that. It may not say Satan, but it's devil's this, devil's that. Mount Diablo. Diablo means devil in Spanish. It's a lot of that terminology in California. It's a lot of devilish references in California. There's no coincidence about that. There's always been rumors about spirits in Pasadena, even before the times of Aleister Crowley, because Jack Parkinson's, if y'all know his connection, grew up in Pasadena, and he grew up in Pasadena exploring the Devil's Caves that were already there, that they were already having conversations about. The people before him already knew about this whole devil association in these caves in Pasadena and Devil's Gate Dam. So, you know what I mean? The connection is there. But it's just for those who study that. You know, everybody may not be familiar with the West Coast and the history of Aleister Crowley and Scientology and the Lima and the occult. It's just for those who can establish those connections. You seeing 9/11 over and over again for months? Yeah, because 9/11 definitely has a numerical principle as well as what it represents for us. That's what I spoke about a little bit earlier. So if you are seeing 9/11, there's a reason you're seeing it. It's a master number 11 with the number 9, the energy of Mars and the sun, or Mars and the moon, depending on if you're looking at the 11 or you reduce that 11 to a 2. So it's Mars and the sun or Mars and the moon. The energy of war being purified by fire of the sun, or the energy of war being purified by the waters of the moon. It's purification either through the fire, the underworld, or the water, the mystic world, the dream world, right? Remember, use your dreams as your dojo. Whatever you can't do physically, you can do in the dream world. That's how you become whole. You don't walk around here with desires. You should never have a desire. Any desire you have should be fulfilled when you go to sleep at night. That's the purpose of dreams. The purpose of dreams is to fulfill your fantasies. You should not be walking around wanting anything. You should not be walking around desiring anything, because you satisfy your desires every night. In the dream world, being conscious in your dreams, that is the purpose. So you don't walk around here lusting for anything. You don't walk around here, craving for anything, because you are full of soulful force, solar force. Because you don't have any blockages, because you have been purifying yourself through the fire. Embracing the cardinal reality and adding the spirituality back to the cardinality of life. The spirituality has been taken away from the cardinal reality, but when you put them back, the sex magic, the tantra, now this becomes a vessel or a vehicle for enlightenment, right? Instead of demonizing the process itself, instead of acting like humans are not sexually attracted to each other, like people are not having sex right the fuck now as we speak, publicly and privately. Somebody's getting fucked right now publicly in the world. It is what it is. Are we gonna feel some type of way about it, or do we understand that this is a part of life? Somebody just got killed. Many people died during the recording of this video. Does that mean you're gonna feel some type of way about it, or is it just life? Is it life, or is it life? Is it love, or is it love? Is it that human love, or is it the love of the true will? Which love is it? Anyway, we get up out of here. 3 hours in. Hopefully y'all enjoyed it. This was very extreme, very wicked, very sinister, very inspirational, enlightening, and prophetic as well. Prophetic? Profound, poetic. There's poetic, profound, prophetic. I mean, like prophecy. That's what I mean, like prophetic. Yeah, so I'm using the right words, I'll be getting twisted with these words. English is my second language, I keep telling y'all. I be thinking I'm saying something, but I'm saying something else. I be speaking two different. that's enough of my mind and my thoughts and my energy. Hopefully y'all, I'm not even going to say that. Fuck if you understand. But if you do, salute to you. So I will give my respect for those who understand, for those who have took the time out to listen to the video and to extract wisdom from it. But to those who didn't, then, you know, you just wasted 3 hours. You know, that you're not getting back. That you just gave me the energy and I'm about to do something else with it. So you might as well, if you're gonna be in attendance, you might as well, you know, keep your mind open. So salute. We out.